Noel is a pianist, composer, arranger, and just lover of music. How I grew up and how I'm still growing up, because growing is a process. I began by always being alone. It sounds funny, but my brothers, they were ahead of me, and they always focused on the other things. So luckily I had a piano in the house. And yeah, the piano was my best friend, put it in that context. And I've grown up just loving music. And then at the same time, I've grown up learning how to deal with people, because as a musician, it's kind of hard. You become introverted. So it's just actually that's when you start getting out of your shell. And you're like, okay, let me start interacting with people in this context. And for me, I would say music is the one thing that has really defined my life ever since I was a child. I haven't known anything else other than music. As for my family, it was just a nice, normal family where the normal ups and downs, sibling rivalry, and dealing with parents who are always telling you don't do this, and yet you just do them and just become, what do you call that word, rebellious. Yeah. My hobbies are very interesting, don't judge. I love watching animations, Japanese animations. Yeah. I love Japanese cuisine. I don't know, I think I'm just obsessed with Japanese. If I would go and live in Japan, I think I would be in heaven. That would be my life. As for my hobbies, I feel for me it's actually still music, because like even in my spare time, I can just compose, and just music. I'm just like, let me create something new. Doesn't matter with which instrument, because just anything, even a stone can make music. So yeah. Yes, actually a couple of animes. Yeah, there's one called Kenja no Mago, another one called Tate no Yusha, another one called Black Clover, and then another one called One Punch Man Season 2. Yeah, so they're very interesting things. My dreams and aspirations, first of all, my dreams are I want to be on the main stage of composing music for big people. Yeah, and okay, when I say compose music, I don't mean like go to studio and do hip hop and stuff like that. I enjoy it, but I also want to touch on the orchestral bit, because I love orchestras. So that's my dream, to be on a stage. I've composed a piece and I'm playing on a concert grand piano with an orchestra. Yeah, that's basically my dreams and aspirations, and at least touching people with music, because I believe music is a mechanism that enables people to heal even without talking. Composition to me is a story. Okay? Think of it in this context. If you have a movie and then remove all the music from the movie, what will you be left with? I feel, in my opinion, you'd be left with nothing. And because of that, music, composing for me, it's like creating something, creating a scenario, or making a scenario even more intense. So for example, like if I'm walking in a forest, yeah, how will I make that? How will I make that work? So I'll have to create maybe something dark. It's a scary forest, probably. I'll have to create something dark. Then put a lot of distortion and dissonance, and you're like, yeah, okay, this is very disturbing. So for me, composing is just like the moment. It's in the moment. When you're creating something and you see it work out, then it happens. Because everyone composes. Like even the people who don't assume that they compose, like they actually do compose. If you just start singing as a random melody, you've actually composed, because the melody is just the foundation, and then now you build up on it. So composition it's so vast and so unique in its own way. Yeah, I find that's how it just works. It works with every person differently. Of course, on the top of the list, Hans Zimmer. who would not like Hans Zimmer, as in like the movies that he has done. Even just the music alone just makes you want to just jump out of your chair while you're watching the movie. Another one is called Ryuichi Sakamoto. He is a Japanese composer. And there's Hiromi Uehara. She's also Japanese, but I just find the music that it resonates a lot with me. Yeah. Some of the challenges that I face is people understanding this kind of music. Because if you were to tell someone, let me create for you a track, and then maybe an orchestral piece, and they're like, but what value is there? We can just get it online. So people are like, they do not see the need, or they do not understand the value. And therefore, by virtue of that being the case, then you do not have as much work, And also another challenge is when you work with people who don't understand what they want. Because sometimes you work with a lot of people and they're like, they don't understand what they want, so they have this idea, but the end product that you'll create is not what you had envisioned, and they're like, it's a mess. I don't know if I'm making any sense. Like when you tell someone, like, this is how it's supposed to be done, then they do something else in terms of composition. Then if it turns out to be a negative perspective, it turns out negatively, then now it's your fault. And then now you have to take the blame for that. Those are just my main challenges. And then in terms of solutions, for me, I think it's just hard work and always going back to what you believe in. Because I never began music to make money. That was not my main motive. I did music so that I can be able to just understand myself better, because we understand ourselves differently with music. So for me, I find that hard work, determination, you'll never go wrong, because again, there's some clients whom I've actually worked with, and they're like, at least we are glad that you're always time conscious, or your presentability is okay. So just based on that, you get more work. There is no standard way of actually saying that this is a refined solution to you, sorting out your challenges in the industry. The only way for you is just to be your own unique person, and you have to have also good character, because you can't interact with people and you have a bad character. Yeah, and it's just time that will tell. First of all, what I'd like to tell people rather is that when you're doing music online, like when you're interacting with different clients, it's never an easy task. You have to always just be willing to just listen. Assume that you know nothing, even though you know a few things. Assume that you know nothing, and always just listen. Because I deal with some clients who want composition arrangement online. They're not even from Kenya. Like recently, I dealt with one. He was from Korea, and he was like, I couldn't really understand him sometimes because his English was different, and yeah, so I actually had to have patience and just listen to him, and kept on asking questions and not get irritated. You might get some clients like that. Some you might get who are just bossy. Others you'll just get who are just chilled and laid back. You'll finish the job and everything will be fine. So it's just perseverance. The last thing or rather the only thing that everybody needs is just perseverance. Because if you do what you do and you're good at what you do, then it will show. You know that they say, chama cha jiuza kibaya cha jitembeza. Yeah. I make my money through different avenues, but the focal point is music. I'm a session pianist, so I can play for people as a filler for gigs. There are a few people whom I work with, a few vocalists whom I work with on an individual basis as their pianist. And then now there is composition and arrangement. And then there is now me as an artist, because sometimes I can be called in to play as me. So those are the different avenues that I normally also. Also there is transcribing for people, like some of their songs. I just transcribe for them, and then you get your income from those small things. My advice to people who are either A, interested, B, upcoming, or C, just have a genuine fascination towards composition, is that you have to be diverse. Technology has really changed. Like before, you'd record an orchestra with tape, and if you mess up, you have to rub the whole tape again and record. Nowadays we're in a digital world and we have so much information. Just be willing to learn. It seems like a hard thing to do, but actually it's not. Because if you listen to movie scores, film scores, and such stuff, you'll find that there are different categories to it. You can find that people actually use hip hop in some of the movies, others use orchestral, others use neo soul, others use jazz, depending on the vibe for the music. So always be willing to learn. Number 2, always take your work seriously and always be on time. If you're having appointments, meetings, anything, just always be on time and be presentable and have a good character. As in the context for a pianist, as a pianist, how you should handle yourself as a pianist, don't think you know everything. Because at some point, I remember when I was young, I used to think I know everything. Shock on me. When someone came and played for me, I was like, right, I think I'll have to start from square one again. Just be humble, be sure of what you're doing, and always practice what it is that you're doing. It doesn't matter if it is a simple piece. In fact, I normally say for me, the simplest pieces are the hardest for me. Because how do you bring the emotion into it? One of my favorite compositions, I would say there is a project I was working on. It's called The 7 Deadly Sins. So I was arranging an orchestration for it. And for me, I would say, so I gave, the 7 Deadly Sins each have their own names. So my favorite was actually Sloth. And yeah, it's going to be out soon, like in a month's time. But for me, I feel, as of right now, that's my favorite piece. The name of the piece is The Light Within the Tunnel.